everyone. I want you to get ready to unlock the power of intuitive branding, and build a brand that aligns with your true self. With my next guest speaker, Kath Grimmett. She's an intuitive brand designer. She helps people to approach branding in a more holistic and value-driven way, and she emphasizes the importance of staying connected and true to your core beliefs. And I love that about her because that's all about me, how I approach, and I believe that I have a magic, and the way Kath helps her clients over 15 years in the design industry, and she comes from fashion designer. Is that right?
It is, yes. Hi.
Welcome.
Thank
Nice
you
to have
so
you.
much. So lovely to be here. How are you doing today?
I am so excited to bring these amazing conversations to my followers, my listeners, your listeners, everybody who needs a bit of an inspiration to move forward in their life and be more confident. The word
Yeah,
I
absolutely. Who doesn't need that on a regular basis, right?
Exactly. So tell us about you, how your journey started, and how did you find that confidence and courage inside you to move forward every day? Because
Yeah,
we all need a bit more confident every day.
yeah, absolutely. So my journey is really similar to lots of other people. I went to school and you went and saw a careers advisor and the people were like, what is it that you like doing? And I was like, well, I kind of like art. I kind of like, design technology. I like making things. I like the creative side of it. And they were like, cool, you're a girl, go do fashion. So I did. And so I went to university and I did a fashion degree. And I
Okay.
followed the path of all of the things that I should be doing because that was, the tick box that
Should
you were,
be doing.
yeah.
Aren't we all in that
Yeah, right.
category
You
of
know,
should be? And yeah, I love
that
that.
tick box exercise of you've been to school, no, now go to university, and once I've been to university, go and get a job and go out into the world. And the more, don't get me wrong, I love to begin with, absolutely loved working in the fashion industry, but the more that I grew as a person, the more as I grew into being an adult, and discovering who I was and what my values were and what I wanted for myself in the world as I grew into the person that I wanted to be, the more that what I was told that I should be doing misaligned with the values that I had. So working for the value sector of the fashion industry, where it was all about volume over quantity, it was all about working with factories in Bangladesh and China, where we would go out and see the working conditions of how they were working versus how we were living in the UK.
Mm.
And the more that I lived in that world, the more that I just felt this disquiet within myself of this isn't aligned to who I am, and this doesn't feel right, but I don't really know what else to do. So I tried working for different companies. I worked with, had some fantastic experiences, but ultimately it came down to the fact that it just didn't align with who I wanted to be anymore. And so
I
um
think, would you say, sorry to butt in there, but would you say so many people are spending so much time listening and caring and putting attention into what others think and what others want, what society wants from us? And then we forget to really go to inner journey to ask, what do I want?
yeah, I
What
think it's
should I be doing from the point of my view, not from the society's view?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that societal expectation, and it's not a bad thing, we're conditioned to be that way. We've had, generations of people working towards it.
Paradigms.
Yeah, and an understanding of, how life should be and what you do this and then it works out this way and that's what life is and sort of get on with it. But I think as we are moving into such a diverse life experience, we don't settle for the boxes anymore. We don't, as human beings, and then having the internet and being able to travel internationally and all of those lovely things is the those putting yourself into those expected boxes is an outdated thing now. And so actually embracing possibility and having the choice, and I think that is something that the pandemic was actually a positive for as well, was enabling us to stop and take that pause of what actually makes me happy, what actually feels right for me, and
Me.
what are my
Let's
options
put a
here.
big spotlight on that word me, ladies, because that's what people seem to keep missing. What makes me happy? That's the biggest question to
Yeah,
answer.
and often as women as well, we are conditioned to put everybody else ahead of
Yeah.
ourselves. And we are really good at that, whether it is family, or work or career expectations or whatever that is. But actually, the more that we connect to self and connect to our values and to what the vision that we have for ourselves, whether that changes or over time or not, is that gives us the power, and that gives us confidence to be able to make aligned decisions and take aligned action forwards to what we actually want for ourselves.
Mm.
But we often should all over ourselves and allow people's influences of what our life should look like for ourselves take over versus what actually feels right and aligned and actionable for ourselves.
It's but what this is gonna bring me to the question I've had that I really wanted to ask you. How does building a brand intuitively contribute to confidence and empower individuals to make their unique magic happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely question. I love that so much. So with anything, listening to your intuition is like building a muscle. It is going to
Mm.
take time, especially if you are used to quietening that voice. We all listen, whether it is our gut, our heart, our internals, we all have an intuitive voice, and it'll look different for each of us, but we quieten that voice. We're like, oh, I feel that I shouldn't do this, or I feel that I'm really excited about this. And then either we talk ourselves out of it, or we let other people talk us out of it. And actually, what building our brand intuitively means is that we start allowing that voice that is inside us, giving us guidance, to have more of an authority in what we're doing. And, building that logic between what our intuition and our head is telling us, and allowing us to feel those emotions and move forward with it. And then making sure that we are checking in and making sure that that's the right decisions for us to be making. But it means that we're following our true north. And I think that is the importance of intuition, is we have that inner compass that tells us what feels right for us. And it doesn't always work out. It's not, a guaranteed non-failure system or anything like that. But it means that we stand by the decisions that we make with more authority. And, even if something doesn't work out, there's a big difference between doing something that in your gut and your heart, you shouldn't be doing or doesn't feel right. And then when it doesn't work out, you having that self-deprecating, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that, versus when you take aligned intuitive action, being like, okay, that didn't work out. So what did I learn from it? And what are my next steps? And I think that, the energy of each of those different things helps you move more into intuition, so that you are aligned with what makes sense to you and what feels right to you.
Do you know what makes me think what you're talking about now? That I talk about this subject all the time with all my sessions, with my one-to-ones or group sessions. But I feel that it's taking that radical responsibility of every decision we make. We are almost allowing others to interact with our decisions and intrude them, and then we can so blame them. I think
Yeah,
there's
it
there is
is.
a lack of that responsibility.
Yeah.
People, oh well, I don't have it because you told me to do that. It's all my old coach's fault. I'm not where I'm supposed to be now because the coach I hired last time, or my teacher, or my mom, or my dad, or my husband, or my wife. It's, don't you think there is
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. Yeah, I think that's definitely a factor. And I think, like you said, that radical responsibility, but even actually just taking responsibility for the choices that you have from this moment, you know, not tearing yourself or others down for your past experiences, and saying, you know, everything that I've learned up until this point has taught me something. It has brought me to the space that I'm in right now. And whether you're happy or unhappy or a bit ambivalent about it, or it allows you to take a breath and just say, okay, you know, the past is the past. I'm able to work on that. I can work on, you know, shadow work from traumas in
Yeah.
my past, and all of that beautiful self-development work that we do as female you know, as entrepreneurs in
Yeah.
general, but especially I feel as part of the female community. And being able to say, okay, you know, that has happened, but from right now, I'm taking that actionable step for myself and taking a move forward in what is right for me, and trusting that gut. And like I said, you know, it's a muscle. You're not going to get it right every time, but the more that you practice it, the easier that it becomes. And, you know, nobody's perfect. We're not going to, you know, shine a magic wand and all of a sudden we're this magical human being that sort of follows their
That's
intuition and
it. I
everything works
think that's
out.
one thing that it's nice that you brought it up, that nobody's perfect. None of us know it all. We
Yeah.
don't all have the answers. I'm
Yeah.
a confidence coach and I lack of it often. I
Yeah,
work
and
on it.
that's it. You know, it's not
Yeah.
about, and I think that's what I really love about intuitive branding. It's about allowing yourself to be your beautiful, imperfect self.
Yeah.
Because after all, you know, we are here in the world to help others. I think especially doing what we do, we have that service on our heart to be in this space to help others grow and make change, and, you know, have change in the world, and do it as part of a community. But also realizing that we are not for everybody, and that is okay, you know, by being ourselves and being able to communicate who we are, which will, you know, and you will gain more confidence as you get more and more aligned and practiced in showing who you are. But by showing who you really are, it gives people the choice as to whether you are the right person for them or not. And after all,
Mm.
we're not for everybody, and that is okay. But I think when it comes more into leaning into who you are and really having that confidence and building that confidence to show people who we are, the easier it is for people to make that decision. And I think that is sometimes really difficult, especially when, you know, hands up, say, you know, you really want to be liked. You make sure
That's
that,
it. We
yeah.
all spend our entire life from a very little age to, you want everyone to like you, you want everyone to think you're lovely, you're so kind, you're so this, you're so that. Not everybody, obviously, but I certainly was one of them. I was so afraid to be pushed out. I was so afraid to be not included. And I just spent trying to fit in, say
Mm,
the right words and say that do the same, like the right thing.
mm.
And that's actually shrinking. It was shrinking me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you've brought up such a beautiful point there as well, because we are often pushed into normality. We're often pushed into boxes. We're often told what we should or shouldn't be doing. But actually being able to build an intuitive life and business and brand by being more of yourself, by coming back to that value that you have, those values that you stand by, the vision that you have for yourself, and then making proactive choices of, does this feel right for me? Am I in the right space? You know, and actually having that building that confidence to step out of those things.
Mm,
Because, you know, as business owners, we know that we need to push ourselves out of our comfort zones to be able to grow and do all of the lovely
yeah.
things that we need to do. But sometimes we become so attached to the norm and to the things that we know
Oh, I've
that,
always been that way.
yeah,
You know,
but
I've always been that
but
way.
actually, you know, when we move into alignment, and it is scary to move towards things that you believe that perhaps don't align with family members or people that
Mhm.
you are, you know, you spend a lot of time with. But the more that you bring yourself into alignment with your integrity of your values, the easier it is to allow grace between yourself and between other people as well, and not expect everybody to be held to such high standards for everything all the time, I think, as well. And it means that just because you don't have, you know, the exact same values as somebody else doesn't mean that you can't have meaningful connection and meaningful conversations and,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
think once you
interact with
are so
people.
confident in your own skin, in every way you are, with all your imperfections, you don't then look like missing points. You don't have to match 100% with somebody you're
Yeah.
with. you actually learn to live in harmony.
Absolutely. I love that word as well, because, you know, we're all different. And even
Absolutely.
if we were carbon copies, that my partner is a twin, and they often, you know, they were dressed the same as when they were growing up, and they were always told to do the same things, but they couldn't be more different from each other. And it's such a beautiful thing, because even though there are similarities and they would grew up in the same household and everything, actually embracing who they are and having their family embrace who they are for
Yeah.
their individual people is so beautiful. And
Mhm.
we don't kind of, whilst we can do that for our immediate family, often we don't apply that to to bigger society, and just
That's
think, you
right.
know, allowing that point of difference for it to be inclusive and to learn things from it, and to actually have that calm of, yes, we are different, but what can I learn from this? And is this, you know, this, do these people's values align with mine? Can we contribute together? You know, it's bringing that aspect of community together with things as well, so
Mm.
that we don't feel so disconnected from everything, and that we don't feel, you know, like we can only putting ourselves in a bubble or an echo chamber where we're only surrounded by people who think the exact same things as us,
How
because it
boring the
just gets
life.
boring, right? Yeah.
All the differences that makes us beautiful. You know, when you
Yeah.
look out, even just my garden, I'm just looking out, there's like, there is roses that I can see, the rosemary, I can see the sage tree, I just all sorts of different plants that makes it beautiful in harmony. If it
Yeah, and
all was the
everything
same.
contributes in a different way and has
Mm.
different properties, and has something that, you know, and I love that about people, is that, you know, if we were all the same, it would be extremely boring. But as you mentioned earlier when you were talking to Alex about, you know, you always see the beauty in collaboration over competition. And I
Yeah.
think that is often something that really comes up, especially when you're you know, meeting people that are in the same industry or do a similar thing to you. It's a natural instinct to be like, oh, they do the same thing as me. And, you
Yeah.
know, but actually, you know, there's lots of designers that I hang out with and spend time with, because
Yeah.
even though we do the same thing, we don't do it in the same way. And even if we have it in a, you know, offer our
It's
services
never
in a
the
different way, it's
same.
never the same. And we're
No.
completely different people. And actually having that community of people that understand where you're coming from because they're in the same industry is actually a really empowering thing. And I'd love to be able to refer clients to them when I'm not a good fit, or, you know, don't have time or can't fit them in, and vice versa. And it just feels so much more empowering to have that
Absolutely. You know what
connection.
I want to add there? Like when you are with, like if you're ever feeling, oh, they're doing the same thing, just remember this: people buy with their emotions, and this is why authenticity and being who you are truly is very important, because they will go with who their emotions tell them to connect, who they resonate with. It doesn't matter even if you sell the exact same thing, they will find your message
Yeah,
closer to them and they will connect with you. They may be listening and reading. I mean, everything you want is out there. Just Google it. Go on
yeah,
the chat GPT. You'll find the answers to almost everything you are looking. But who you want to work with and who you want someone to help you, that's where the connection and
yeah,
emotion comes from. So
absolutely.
the collaboration, I think, is the biggest step for success in everything. Even in marriage, you can't marry yourself. You need to have somebody to love, another human being in your life to love and share. Everything is great when you collaborate. So
Yeah,
this is why I created this platform. So women in my circle, women in my audience may find who they have been waiting
yeah,
for. There's something that may trigger inside them, your story, the way you explain it, and intuitive branding. Like they want to start their brand, but they don't know where to begin with.
yeah.
There you are, they got you. So, do you know what I mean? It just never is a competition. I think it's a collaboration.
Yeah, and I think often as well, we're told to look outside of ourselves for what we're working towards. But really, how can we have any idea about what we're working towards until we connect with self and what we truly want and our values and everything. And I think that's such an important thing as well, because that acceptance of, I'm not right for everybody, but I can really help the people that I am right for, and being able to communicate that in a way that helps people decide is so that's, you know, it gives you empowerment, it gives you confidence to be more of yourself. And no, you're not going to get it right every time, but you are going to, you know, build a brand that you stay in love with because it's aligned with your values and the vision that you have for yourself. It's going to attract people that you love working with. So it makes that side of the business so much
So
easier
what's
as
the
well.
process you walk your clients to create that alignment?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually start with a guided visualization in my process. So I get my clients to picture and align to that vision and the values that they have for themselves, because often that's a really fundamental piece that is missing in connecting to the foundations of building a brand. And because often when you say building a brand, people usually default to thinking about the visual and aesthetic side, or the
Yeah,
pretty
the
stuff.
logo.
Yeah, but actually branding is so much more
Absolutely.
than the visuals. It's about creating that aligned experience for yourself and for your clients and for your team and whoever interacts with your brand. And so by starting with the values and that big foundational piece means that you're constantly making decisions to build your business in that way that helps you stay aligned to the values in the first place. So so we get started with the guided visualization, then we work on understanding your core values. So I like to always use the analogy of building a house where you've got the foundations are all the sediment and all the sand that you're using to like map out your house and map out your plot. And then we build on core pillars. So, you know, 4 or 5 actual stakes in the ground of these are the absolute non-negotiable things that we stand for. And this is what those words mean to me. These are my definitions of those words. So that you have that clarity of, you know, if I said, could you please think of the color pink, and I think of the color pink, we're both going to be thinking about the color pink, but we're not going to be thinking of exactly the same shades. And that's the
Exactly.
difference in connecting to the definitions, is what
Beautiful.
does that mean to me, so that I can easily then communicate that out into the world, so that I can stand by these values and make sure that when I'm communicating to anybody, it's alignment with what I believe in, but it's also then communicating it in a way that helps people understand your point of view and where you're coming from, so that they can then decide whether that aligns with them. So that's the first step. And then once we've done that, we work on the visual side to make sure that everything comes into alignment with that visual that you have. And then we move on to the strategy side of everything, which is how you bring as I call the externals and the internals. So the externals is all the visual stuff that people see out in the world, and then all of the internals is connecting to those values to be able to make sure that every part of your business connects back to those values. So, you know, how are you building your business? How are you delivering your client experience based on those values that help you stay in love with your business, rather than, as we said at the beginning of the call, going into the shoulds of my business should look like this, and then forcing yourself to use,
I should be
yeah,
sharing
you know,
so many posts,
technology
and I
or
should
building your
be,
business in a way that doesn't actually align with your values and how you want to be doing it. Because we're in this for the long haul. We put a hell of a lot of hard work into it as entrepreneurs. So why shouldn't we be doing this in a way that feels right to us? Because we often guilt ourselves and put that pressure on ourselves to do things in a way that other people are doing it, whether or not that actually works for us. And it's taking that breather and that time to come back to self, and being okay with doing things a little bit differently and figuring out what works and doesn't work, rather than putting all of the pressure in
So
to.
what would you say, like, you know, I like that you said what's working, what's not working. And I often say that, but I would like to hear your perspective on how long is that, if it's working or not, that they need to just work on it. How
Yeah,
long? How do you know that is, okay, I've worked on it for this week or this many months? Or when do you know that it's not working or it is working?
Yeah, I think so. This is where I come back to intuition a lot of the time, is intuitively listening to what how much time you believe it needs to be given. And also, you know, not discounting information that you are given, you know, resources and tools of information that people are giving you, but actually deciding, you know, looking at the information objectively and then making the decisions for yourself based on what you believe, rather than taking other people's word as gospel and as the only option of doing something. So, and it kind of depends on what the decisions you're making are and how much of an impact it has on your business. But let's say, you know, social media, for example, you know, you're trying a new social media platform, and within the first couple of weeks, you're feeling really good about it, but then you're sort of starting to lose momentum a bit. You're feeling like you're on the content creation hamster wheel. But actually, it's coming back and asking yourself, is being on this platform aligned with how I want to show up in the world? You know, is this something that brings me joy? Is it not something that brings me joy? Is it something that I want to do differently, or is it something that I want to put down altogether? Because again, it comes back to those shoulds. You know, are you on social media just because you're told that you should be on social media? Or do you actually really enjoy being on there? And, you know, there's a completely different energy.
And
in
is the clients that you want to serve hang
Yeah,
in there?
absolutely. Yeah, you know, and there's a big difference in that, because even if your clients are on there and then they're engaging with you and you're having fun engaging with those clients on social media, even though it feels harder to you, you are still, you know, getting that interaction and getting what you want from it, versus feeling like you should be on social media, pushing, and then not getting the return that you want from it as well. There's that balance. But also, what I want to bring into that as well is, if you are on social media and you're not enjoying it, but you know you want to be on it because it gives you the results that you need, how can you do that works in a way for you? You know, it doesn't have to be, well, you have to be posting
Again, it
every
all
single
comes back
day.
to knowing you,
Yeah,
and if it's serving you. It's
absolutely. And I
very
think,
powerful.
to your question of how long should I give, is actually based on, you know, listening to that intuition and knowing whether you've actually given it everything that you want to, and trusting yourself when it feels like it is or isn't the right place to be as well. I think, you know, particularly Instagram is one of my things at the moment where I really enjoy being on stories. So I'll show up in stories, but I really struggle with the grid. So I have a static 9 grid that gives my clients all of the information that they need about me, you know, shows my work and tells them how they can work with me. And then I engage in stories, because for me, that works. But I know somebody else who absolutely loves being on, you know, all over Instagram, and she does everything. She does the posts, the carousels, the reels, the stories, everything. And that's great. Because that
Just
works for her
find
and
what
she
works for
enjoys it.
you.
Yeah, and I think that's it. We often push ourselves into, oh, this is working for this person, therefore I have to do it the same way. Whereas actually it's about applying questions to yourself in a way that's, does this work for me? How does it work for me? You know, how can I bring that fun and that excitement and that energy to everything and do it in a way that works for me? And if it isn't working out, that's okay. There's going to be other ways for me to explore how I enjoy something. So, you know, putting down something that isn't working, or, you know, just giving it 20% less attention and putting that 20% attention on something new that does bring you excitement and allows you to explore different options. Because I think we're so hard on ourselves, aren't we? And we kind of push ourselves into what
I just
we're
feel I
doing.
expect so much of me. I just think if there was 3 other women doing the jobs that I expect from myself, they would be retired by now.
Yeah. And that's it. So, you know, we often forget that there are no rules. It's our business. We can build it however we want to. But often, especially as women, we put such a high pressure on ourselves to deliver in a particular way or to achieve a particular thing. We don't always have to do that. And so by coming back to our values and the vision that we have and the life we want to create, it's easier to start making decisions to be less hard on ourselves and make actionable choices on what we ultimately want.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kath. It's been an absolute pleasure having you.
Same.
I am going to share all the information about all our speakers with the videos once we chop them into their own sections. and all the beautiful gifts that you have shared with them. Thank you.
You are very welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
It's lovely. Thank you so much. I have got my next speaker in about 10 minutes, and I want to just, and you're welcome to stay, Kath, or you can just join on the Facebook as well. So we're going to
Yeah,
be there
fabulous.
too.
I'm going to join you in on Facebook. Thank you so much
Lovely.
for having
Thank you.
me.
It's been great having you. Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye.
You too. See, what happens is I notice that in the life and business that so many of us are so stuck in should I be doing this, should I be doing that, and we end up asking other people's opinion, or we've heard from somebody what is the expectations of your business as a businesswoman that you should be doing. Then you do that, you do all that, and then you run out of ideas because it was never you, it was never aligned with you, and then you lose your confidence. And the confidence doesn't mean that you have all the answers. Confidence doesn't mean that you're flawless. It doesn't mean that you are absolutely perfect and you have nothing else to fix. It's actually completely the opposite. Confidence means really that you believe in yourself with all your imperfections, and finding you, aligning your values and your desires, and doing the things that you can do with the knowledge you have, with the speed that you can do it, and doing it in your time, and focusing on today, on your step, with a great plan in your hand. What happens is so many people I serve and I talk to within my communities that those who feel sad, depressed, and not enough and not worthy are the ones usually living in the past and comparing themselves with other people who have started their journey more or less at the same time. Perhaps they graduated at the same time. Perhaps they have met at a course or a club. They were member both, and one of them is just speeding and going up the ladders fast, and the other one is just staying. And if you are in that space, you will always feel sad because you're looking at your past mistakes, you're looking at the things that hasn't worked out or you haven't done yet. You'll always feel sad, emotional, and not enough and not worthy enough. Or there is the other half that feels stressed, they're anxious, they feel overwhelmed. The overwhelm, I think, is the most um, faced emotion that most entrepreneurs are facing, especially the working mothers, because they are trying to just carry so many responsibilities in their hands. And what happens is you are feeling stressed and anxious and overwhelmed because you're feeling in the future. You keep thinking the things that you should supposed to be doing, you should have done, you haven't started. You're constantly looking at the top of the stairs where you need to climb, where you want to climb, and you keep looking at that. You're feeling so overwhelmed, and most likely you're tripping over because you're looking too far ahead rather than the step you are in. What I want to invite you all, if you want to have full confidence in yourself, in your offerings, in what you do, what you want to do in life, is have a plan, know exactly what you want, know where you are heading, but focus on the step you are. Be in the moment, live the moment. Don't worry about tomorrow. Of course, worry about tomorrow, but don't think about tomorrow because tomorrow is only going to be easy if you do the things that you're supposed to do today. So just have a plan and focus on your step and just get on with your life without worrying what's happened in the past, because as its name, it's in the past. You cannot change anything. All it can do is guide you, and you can just find empowerment from the learnings from it. But do not empower the emotions that you felt backdate, or stress and feel anxious about the future that you're feeling for your business. Just focus on today, focus on the step you are in, and just love your journey. But you must know, what do you want and where you are heading.